Welcome. You're listening to Coffee Break with Purdue Engineering, a podcast production from the Office of Future Engineers at Purdue University. In this podcast series, we discuss the many programs, majors, and opportunities found in Purdue Engineering through conversational interviews with staff, faculty, alumni, and current students. We hope you enjoy our show and it helps answer some of your questions about what it's like to be an engineering student at Purdue. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode where we're going to be discussing Purdue's construction engineering or CNE major. I'm one of your hosts, Calvin Given, a current graduate student in electrical and computer engineering from Lakewood, Colorado.
Yeah, and I'm your other host, Brian Akamati. I'm a current junior in electrical engineering from Miami, Florida. And some things I'm involved with on campus are I'm a part of the National Society of Black Engineers, MEP, I'm an RA within the dorms, and I'm also a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. And this week we're joined by Matt.
Thanks for having me. My name is Matt Calvo. I'm a junior in construction engineering. I'm from Staten Island, New York. On campus, I am a peer counselor here at the Office of Future Engineers. I'm a College of Engineering student ambassador. I'm involved with Unified Special Olympics, and I'm a member of Phi Kappa Tau fraternity.
So you do a bunch of stuff, in short.
Yes.
That's what I like to hear.
Well, we're glad to have you on today. Thanks for being here. I guess just to get to know you a little bit better, what were some of the things you liked about growing up in Staten Island? I guess I don't know if that's considered the Big Apple or not, or if that's outside of the, I don't know where the boundary of New York City ends or not. And what are some of your favorite hobbies? And then how'd you end up coming to Purdue? Why'd you end up choosing Purdue?
Yeah, so all good questions. So growing up in Staten Island, if you talk to anybody that's from there, they will say they were very bored growing up. But the best part of living in Staten Island, from what I've found, is obviously being so close to the city. Mm-hmm. I was fortunate enough to be able to attend high school in Brooklyn, which was pretty cool. Opened me up to a lot of new opportunities there. So I had to travel 45 minutes across a bridge every day.
Really?
But they had a really, really good engineering program there. Mm-hmm. So I thought that would set me up better for college, which it definitely did, because if it wasn't for there, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so just growing up, I was always big into the outdoors. Grew up fishing with my dad, skiing with my grandfather. East Coast, as I'm sure they call it. Yeah. Ice Coast, sorry. East Coast, Ice Coast.
Yep.
I say East Coast, Best Coast.
Yeah.
I was born in D.C., so.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Skiing's not the best. Colorado's got you beat there.
That's fair.
Yeah, with skiing, they definitely talk about the rigor and the challenge it is of skiing out east, not because of the slope, but more or less because of just how much ice there is and how cold it gets. But still made the best of it. Was able to travel out west and ski last year, which was pretty cool out in Lake Tahoe. But anyway, growing up, like I was saying, just go to the city, experience a new culture. I grew up, my dad was a chef, so I was already exposed to so many different types of food and cultures. So when you kind of,
that was good.
Yeah. And then when you take that into the city, you got to get to see that all in real life. Chinatown, Little Italy, right. Going to different restaurants downtown. So
and
it was
so
cool.
Do you know how to cook, or was that just a non-transferable skill?
No, it was definitely a transferable skill.
All right, good.
I grew up in an old Italian household, so
I can only imagine like growing up in New York City, because I went to me and my family used to go to New York like every Christmas, and like now we live in Florida, so we can't get out there as much. But I went to New York this summer, and it was I could go anywhere within the day. Like within the day, I traveled to like almost all 5 boroughs. Like it was insane.
Yeah, and the weird thing is, because Staten Island is so suburban, when you go into the city and the other 4 boroughs, most of the kids that I met growing up there, nobody had cars. I was really one of the only friends that I had in high school that had a car, and more or less not because they couldn't buy one, but because they didn't need to. When you live in the other boroughs, it's so interconnected by subway and public transit. Mm-hmm. It's almost inefficient to have a car. So it's a waste of money.
All right.
If you live in the city, everybody walks everywhere.
Yeah.
And
so was it a big adjustment coming from the city to West Lafayette, which is definitely more of a college town?
It definitely was a big adjustment, but not as bad as I thought it would be. You kind of grow up, when they say it's the city that never sleeps, they mean it. It was definitely a very bustling, loud city,
right?
Which can get overwhelming at times. That's why I was grateful enough to be living in the suburbs and not in like the heart of downtown. But anyway, so coming out here, it was definitely a big adjustment. You go from seeing so much elevation to no elevation and lots of corn.
It's a little flat around here, yeah.
And soy.
Nice for running, though.
Yes, very good for running and outside. I'm sure you enjoy that a lot.
Yep.
But coming out here, not being in a centralized city, I thought that was going to be like a huge thing for me. Like, you know, not having big stores and big buildings and being so close to so many different types of like entertainment. But then you come to Purdue and you realize like you don't need any of that. When you live in a college town, everything is here. You're 10, 15 minutes from anything you need. The movies, the restaurants, Walmart, Target, Home Depot. The gym. Right.
Nature areas.
Yeah.
Class.
Yeah. Exactly.
Your dorm or apartment.
Yeah, and everything is so well connected. And that was kind of the biggest thing that I was surprised about, because everybody talks about like, oh, you go to the Midwest, you know, you got to drive 30 minutes just to find a grocery store.
Right.
And while that is the case for a lot of parts in the Midwest, definitely not West Lafayette.
Yeah.
I was very, very surprised with how well connected and how close everything was.
And what ultimately like kind of led you to West Lafayette, to Purdue? Like, I'm assuming you had other engineering schools. You went to engineering high school. So like, what kind of led you to like, I'm gonna go to Purdue?
Yeah. So I came out here for aerospace, ironically. So definitely a switch up.
So I bet you were glad about the first year engineering program.
Yeah. First year engineering, quite honestly, you know, saved my college life, so to speak. So, you know, I came out here, I was looking at other aerospace schools, UMich, Embry-Riddle. Like, I was dead set, you know, I was going to be the guy under the F-18 with the ratchet fixing fighter jets.
Yeah.
It's like, totally had a misconception of what aerospace engineering was, first of all. You know, I just saw, like, that last scene in Top Gun Maverick, you know, where he's sitting there fixing his plane. I'm like, yeah, that's aerospace engineering, right? This is not. Yeah, it's not.
It's aerospace tinkering.
Yeah, it's aerospace tinkering. So I came out here, did research, obviously, into the university, but really not so much into the major itself. So I came out here, and, you know, I was like, yep, I'm going to be in aerospace. Went into FYE. Everybody would ask me, what's your major? I said aerospace. And they'd be like, how? You're a freshman. You're in FYE. You're not an aerospace major yet.
That's hilarious.
And then, you know, I kind of went to all the engineering your major sessions, started talking to my advisor.
And what are those, just for those who don't know?
Oh, yeah. So those engineering your major sessions, it's kind of just the opportunity to sit down with ambassadors from the specific college. You're actually required to go to at least 3 of them, I believe, throughout your first year engineering curriculum. You know, it's part of your credits. You know, and it's just another way that Purdue is trying to expose you to the different majors. So, like I said, you'll hear from student ambassadors. You'll hear about what your curriculum will look like. You'll hear about what your jobs will look like. You know, so just like I said, just another way to make sure that you're in the major you really want to be in, which is the whole point of this FYE
Or to
program.
let you find a major that you're going to actually be passionate about, as was my case, not really knowing which major I wanted to go into.
Yeah, and it goes both ways, right? You can come here thinking you just want to be an engineer, and it guides you and finds your path, or you know, you can come here like me, thinking
guide you
aerospace.
to the right path for you.
Right.
Yeah. And then I guess not diving into your actual major, how would you kind of briefly describe C&E or construction engineering?
Yeah, so construction engineering, after for majority of its lifespan being a division of the Lyles Civil School, is now a part of the Lyles Civil School. Yeah. So Lyles is now the Lyles Civil and Construction Engineering School. So definitely incredibly grateful for that and all the opportunities that's exposed the program to. So the biggest thing that I always like to compare when I'm looking at civil versus construction is civil, you get a lot more of the design and theoretical aspect, whereas construction, you kind of learn about the means and methods and like what it means to actually get boots on the ground. So that kind of was a little bit more appealing to me because you also get the management side of it. So I didn't want to, you know, be at a desk and looking at civil engineering schematics, and a lot of respect to the people who do, because I mean, you need that to happen or else I wouldn't have a job. So I like the management side of it. I liked having boots on the ground, like being on the job site, and working with the trades and the subcontractors. And I never really knew that this was even an interest of me. Like I said, I mean, it was planes. I was planes all the way. And then I came out here, and I was fortunate enough through the construction engineering program, we guarantee 100% internship rates for 3 years. So even though the T2M process, you know, kind of wraps up in May of your freshman year, right when your grades are finalized and you get into your major, you're still, after expressing interest in construction engineering in February when you put in the form, construction engineering will reach out and get you in an internship technically before you even start the major in September.
That's not, I don't think any other major does.
No other major, and I'm very proud to talk about that. It's very, very unique. because no other major does it. And, obviously we're fortunate enough for there to be so many construction jobs available in the industry, and that's kind of why that works out.
And I have a feeling, I have a feeling that a lot of students, like prospective students, even probably current students, don't even know that.
No, because I
remember me, like, you're the only reason I knew it. Like, when you told me, I was like, there's no way. And then I did the research. I was like, there's way.
Yeah, and it's not advertised too much. Obviously, if you hear about the program, that's one of the first things you'll see if you look it up. Mm-hmm. But I feel like it was always, and I kind of found that from day one. Sat down with Brandon Falk, and who's kind of like the head and the heart and soul of this program. Yeah. I'm sorry, Brandon. I forget your exact title, but you're, to me, one of the heart and souls of the program, and probably one of the main reasons I'm in it. But anyway, so I sat down with him from day one, and he was just like, we're a family here. And he told this story to me, and he was like, I was talking to one of the students the other day, and it was cold because this was February, remember, freshman year, and she's like, she called me and she said, I can't make it to class. My car broke down in the snow. Mm-hmm. And he's like, man, I wish you told me sooner. He's like, I would have came and picked you up myself on the way to class and helped you get there. I care so much about the students. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of like the mantra for the whole program is they care so much about the students, and everybody knows, all the administrators know the students. They know where they're working. They know what their interests and what their strengths are. Obviously, we're fortunate enough to do that because it's such a small program, but that was one of the biggest things that drew to me. Coming to a big school, you kind of lose that small, like, classroom atmosphere, right?
At times, yeah, you definitely can.
At times. Obviously, you'll have your recitations, you'll have your lab groups, and all of the small group atmospheres. But, it just seemed a little bit more appealing to me because it was so close to my experiences in high school, being in that small, centralized familial setting.
It's like you could probably name a good amount of your major, whereas like I probably couldn't get to half.
Yeah, we see the same people, but there's a lot of people in our majors that we do not know. So that's a really unique thing about it.
Yeah. So kind of like after sitting down with him, he talked to me about the program, got me placed in my first internship, and that was with I was at Walsh Construction, and Walsh Construction is a Chicago-based company, but they had a Northeast office up in Little Falls, New Jersey. So I worked in their estimating and scheduling department my first semester freshman year. Walked into that office with no experience in construction before, had no idea what I was doing. But I told my boss from day one, I'm like, I want to be in every meeting. I said, I don't care if I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't care if what you're talking about is like 10 years ahead of my understanding of the industry. Like, I just want to be there. I'll take minutes. I'll sit there in silence in the back of the room, but I just want to be in the know. I want to learn. And he really admired that. And he included me in everything. We were working on a multi-billion-dollar estimate at the time for a tunnel project that was connecting. It was phase one of a tunnel project that was connecting the Amtrak and New Jersey transit systems from northern New Jersey into the city. So it was kind of to enhance, it's called the Northeast Corridor, just a train system that runs from, I believe, Washington, D.C. to Boston, and is responsible for 13.7% of the nation's GDP.
Oh, wow.
So, those...
Talk about a project with impact.
Right. So once again, like, from day one, getting you into the industry and helping you make an impact. So when we submitted our bid after about 4 or 5 weeks of working at the company, I was looking at the bid and I was looking at my name plastered all over it and all the subcontractor bids that I solicited. And, and then you look at the bottom and it's like a multi-billion-dollar bid and you're like, wow, this is really cool.
Yeah.
My name is on something of this much value.
Yeah.
And this is 5 weeks into industry experience. So then after our bid was in, the work died down in the estimating office. So they put me on a project in Lower Manhattan, and it was called the Lower Manhattan Coastal Resiliency Project. So we were raising the seawall from 6 to 11 feet, I want to say.
Okay.
It was kind of like a post, well, it was 13 years later after Hurricane Sandy, just kind of a post-hurricane reinforcement of the Lower Manhattan seawall.
Yep.
Which was really cool. And then I got transferred to another project, which was a vertical tunneling project in Queens. So just, from day one, getting that industry experience was really, really cool.
Yeah. One of the really, I think, interesting and important things that I want to revisit for just a sec was that you said you sat down with your boss and you said, I want to be involved. I want to take initiative and learn as much as I can on this internship. And that's really the way you're going to get the most out of whatever you're doing when you're in industry, because you could very easily just sit there behind your computer for 8 hours a day and get paid to do basically nothing. But sometimes it takes that initiative, or at the very least, that initiative is going to give you a better experience no matter what. So I just thought that was a really cool thing that you did. Wanted to shout that out.
Yeah, that's really admirable. And like kind of diving into like your C&E class or your C&E classes now, like did you kind of see, like what are some of your favorite classes first off, and did you see the stuff that you were learning in industry kind of in the courses once you were in your major?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So this past summer I worked with Skanska in their USA building department because they're a Swedish-based company, and I intend to return back to them next summer, which is really cool. But once again, back in New York, so, you know, construction engineering, trying to help you be where you want in the country.
Yep.
But anyway, so looking at the course load, you kind of start off in construction engineering with the basics. So you'll take your statics courses, your dynamics courses, your materials, you know, structural mechanics and stuff like that. But one of the courses that stood out to me, I took, I want to say last fall. So it was my first semester, sophomore year, first semester in the program. And it was project controls and construction lifecycle management, one of two. So CE 222, I believe it was the course code. And, you know, you kind of learned about different types of equipment, different types of contract procurement methods, design build, design bid build, you know, CMGC, all these different types of contract procurements. And that was kind of the biggest class that I found last internship this past summer that kind of translated to the real workplace environment. Because you're learning, you know, real skills. You're learning how to communicate with the subcontractors. You're learning means and methods of construction. You're learning about different types of equipment, how to order stuff, how to account for lead times when you're putting in materials and purchase orders, how to deal with change order requests and addendums and, you know, all these contract methods. And, you know, I found that was extremely important for any construction engineer to understand. And now currently I'm in project controls too, which is kind of further teaching the, you know, general emphasis of how that part of the industry works.
Yeah. It's super cool that, I mean, we've talked about this before, and just, it's cool to see the recurring theme that those classes can apply to the internships and or the internship can then teach you skills that you end up using or learning about again in classes. So it is a really cool link between the two of them.
I think for me it's very encouraging because I have times sometimes, like at least in high school, like there are times I'm learning stuff I'm like, I'm never going to use this. But now it's a thing where like, no, what I'm learning in class is going to translate to the real world. So
like your 5-paragraph AP Lang essay, not going to be anything you're doing in your job.
Yeah.
Aside from maybe writing, because we do have to do that as engineers.
Yeah, lab reports.
Yep.
Yeah.
Speaking of lab reports, do you guys have labs that you've enjoyed? Are there lab classes where you kind of get to actually experiment with things and be a little more hands-on than just listening to lecture?
So one of the first labs that I was in was probably last semester or the semester before. I forget when I took the course. It was CE 270, Introductory Structural Mechanics. So you're kind of learning about the introductory principles of stress, of strain, of cross-sectional analysis of different beams. And we were working in these labs where, you know, you would have these like cross-section of a truss. So it kind of looked like a bridge, but there was no third dimension in terms of like the width of the bridge. So you were hyperanalyzing this truss structure, and there was different strain gauges on it, and you would apply weights to different part of the bridge, and then these strain gauges would then measure, you know, where the strain and the stress is in the truss, and then you take these numbers and then hyperanalyze them, while also learning about the different configurations of these trusses and how they distribute the forces across the structural members. So, you know, kind of like the heart and soul of civil and construction engineering right there. That's why that course is so important and why the professor that's teaching it emphasizes how important it is. You know, we would always joke in the class, like, you know, the course is designed to make you pass because nobody wants a civil and construction engineer in the workforce that got, you know, an F in introductory structural mechanics. You know, so the course is set up so that, the TAs are well versed in the material. The professor is well versed and well commended in the material. And you kind of felt that support inside and outside the classroom, also in the lab settings as well. One of the other labs I always like to talk about is my geomatics and surveying lab, which also kind of tying back to what you're saying before about real world applications.
Yep.
It doesn't really get more real world than that.
Yeah.
We were working with these, like, I think they said they were like $10,000 surveying cameras.
Wow.
So
they just handed them to you during lab session and said, go.
Yeah. And when the lab TA told us, I was holding it in my hands. I was like, wow, that's actually really, really cool.
Yeah.
So for any, I guess, current Purdue students, if you've ever seen the students out with the yellow tripods with their cameras and all the different prisms and gauges, that's this class.
Okay.
That's crazy, yeah.
So, we were out there sometimes 3 hours in the pouring rain getting our points, which is a little challenging because, when that's shooting the laser at the prism, it's refracting off the raindrops because they're so hyper precise. So that made it a little bit challenging. But, just
put an umbrella over the over the tripod.
We did that. Yeah, we did that. A couple times we had to. But, just kind of like, once again, seeing how the geomatic and surveying principles apply to the real world through these labs is a really, really good thing that construction engineering and I'm sure all engineering alike find a way to do. I think in the next couple of weeks I'll be able to make concrete in lab and asphalt. I think it's a 2-part lab. There is a difference between the two, and cement.
So what's the difference for those of us who have no idea?
That lesson starts next week. So TBD.
Understood. Gotcha.
Yeah. But
new content coming up in your degree path.
Yeah.
I love it.
And so we've talked a lot about your courses, but ultimately, as with all engineering students, and from your list in the beginning, you're more than just a student. What do you kind of do outside of classes? Are there we know you're involved in a bunch of extracurriculars.
Right.
Are there ones for construction engineering specific that you maybe would recommend? Or just which ones are you involved in? What do you like to do outside of class?
Like when people ask you, who is Matt, what do you say?
Yeah. So I knew I was going to do this when I was going to come on here today. I knew I was going to forget a club to talk about and an organization I'm a part of. And I did. Probably one of the more important ones, especially to my degree. Currently serving as the vice president of Beta Tau, which is the Construction Engineering Honor Fraternity. Okay. So, we do a variety of different things. We have community service events, job site visits. We actually just got up to Chicago about a month ago to tour currently 41 stories up, but I think they're moving to 60 or 80. I forget the range. A skyscraper right on the Lower Wacker in Chicago, so right on the lake, right off Navy Pier. And we were up there standing on top of this building and like looking out at Lake Michigan, and it was really cool because what we did was we went all the way up to the top. And when you get to the top, the concrete wasn't poured yet on that floor. So you see all of the rebar, all of the MEP integrated into the floor, the conduit. And then as you go down the stairs, all of a sudden the concrete's poured on that floor. And then you go down another couple floors, and now there's framing up. And now there's drywall up. And now the plumbing's installed. And the fixtures are installed. Now there's lighting. Now the windows are put in. That was the really weird part. So you're
literally walking through time.
Right. You're walking through time because of the way this sequential construction works. And it was good starting at the top and walking down instead of walking up 41 flights.
Right. So then you'd be walking back in time.
Yeah. But, it was really, really cool to see the sequencing that construction follows. Yeah. Most of the work that I've done is in the heavy civil and underground industry, along with like seawall and coastline resiliency projects. I've never seen vertical construction before. So just another really, really cool way to get involved and see the industry in real time.
Right.
We have a euchre tournament food drive coming up. So just, trying to get involved in the community as well, bring that philanthropic aspect to it as well, along with our weekly meetings and, all the plethora of other things that we do. So in terms of construction engineering related things, that's probably number one. So it actually has, I can't believe I forgot to talk about this. It actually got me the opportunity to attend this year's DBIA, the Design Build International Association conference. Yeah. So I'm leaving for Las Vegas in 2 days. So very, very happy about that.
That's exciting.
So I'll be there from, probably 4 days-ish, Tuesday to Friday this coming week. So get to attend the conference, connect with industry professionals, learn about different of these design builds, procurement methods, which is basically a contract structure where the architect and the general contractor are under the same contract. as opposed to design bid build, which is where the owner contracts the work out to the architect, and then the work is then put out to bid by general contractors. So it's 2 separate contracts. One of the biggest things that we learned about from day one in that project controls class was about these procurement methods. So, I'm really, really looking forward to that. Very grateful for the experience.
Right.
It is all expenses paid, fortunately.
That is
All
awesome.
right.
So, just another one of those ways that you can get involved with the industry. So really, really grateful for that.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a super cool opportunity that you got there, and it sounds like a great fraternity that you joined. It's one of the many. Almost every engineering major has their own equivalent to that. I know for EC it's HKN.
Yeah.
Don't ask me what the Greek letters are.
Yeah, for civil it's Chi Epsilon, I believe.
But so a lot about your academics and your career, but what do you do for fun? Do you have fun as an engineering student?
Yes, it is extremely important to have fun, and I talk about this in all the engineering information sessions that I've been presenting. Is have fun. Like if you make your curriculum and you make your work the center focus of everything. Well, sorry, not the center focus, but all of your life at college. Education always comes first.
Terrible college experience.
Right. You can't make it everything.
Right.
So one of the biggest things that I've found is the most fun, and one of the reasons that I came to Purdue is getting that top tier engineering education while also being at a big sports school, which means that we get to go see our football team lose a lot of games, and then during the week we get to see our basketball team win a lot of games.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's definitely been really, really cool to do that. I'm a part of the paint crew, the basketball student section, Rouse Aid Brigade, the football student section. I've spent a lot of money seeing these Purdue games, but it's what I came to college to do. I wanted to be able to walk out of my dorm and walk 10 minutes one way and get a number 8 undergraduate engineering major in the United States, and then walk 10 minutes the other way and see the number 1 AP preseason poll basketball team. So, really, really cool opportunities. Once again, bringing us back to that number 6 and best value in the country, not only just because of 14 years of frozen tuition, but also having a college town, college life environment while still having a exceptional education. Right. So, Purdue sports have been the source of a lot of my happiest memories in college.
And it's important to do those things that make you happy. Like for me, there are times where I get so stressed out, I'll come out of an exam like, I don't know if I did the best, and like I'll go run, and then I'm like, all right, life's gonna be good. Like I'm chilling, like, I'm doing the things that make me happy. Like it'll be all right. We'll just gotta get up, and like that's like the one thing that I always tell people. Like you're gonna fall inevitably at some point, but you just gotta make sure you keep getting back up.
Yep, engineering is not easy no matter where you go or what you're doing. It's going to be one of the most difficult majors offered at a college campus.
Exactly.
And so having an outlet or a way to just kind of decompress, de-stress, forget about your coursework for a minute does wonders for your actual performance in the course.
Right.
Yeah.
There's I was listening to a talk from one of my professors in ECE, Professor Michael Mellick, and he was talking about basically keys to studying. And
I took that class.
Keys to Learning? His Keys to Learning class?
Yeah.
He did like an abridged version in my graduate seminar.
That's cool.
For a couple weeks.
Well, his book is fantastic. Really, really smart. Really, really smart guy.
And so, he was just talking about how there's so many different philosophers and just pioneers in the fields that they thought of their best ideas when they were walking up a mountain or thinking of something completely different, because your brain processes everything in the background.
Right.
And so giving yourself that time to just exist and not have to 100% laser focus on school all the time is really important.
Yeah. And it definitely seems that zealous energy and that passion to learn is pretty consistent across most of the students that I've at least spoken to. I've seen people studying in the gym. Forgot where I was sitting yesterday. I was at the basketball game versus University of Indy, and some guy had like 4 different old exams of like math problems that he was studying.
If you're going to get there like 45 minutes early, you might as well use the time and not just stare at the empty court.
Yeah, and I felt really, because, you know, we did the lower bowl lottery, so we were there 2 hours before the game started, and I'm sitting there playing on my phone, and I look to my right, and this kid's studying. I'm like, you know, that's dedication.
Yeah.
Right? A lot more dedicated than I was at the time. I was just staring at a blank court. Players weren't even out yet. Band wasn't there. So once again, that drive to learn is something that I admire at a lot of the students. Try to just bring myself up and make myself better. Yeah. Because that's something that I, you know, like a lot of people, I'm sure, are lacking at time. Yeah. So.
And I think you kind of speak about all your experiences. Like, how would you say Purdue has kind of satisfied your love, just being here at Purdue, being a student, and then also for like C&E? And how do you think it's kind of set you up for the future?
So one thing I always tell everybody, and this is important for any student going to any college and on any college tour, is walk around. Like, don't just go to the admissions tours. Don't just go to the facilities tours and the informational sessions. Walk around the campus. Look at the students. Like, you know, silently eavesdrop on what they're talking about, right? And when you walk around Purdue's campus, everybody's wearing Purdue merch. Everybody's wearing something that says Purdue. You know, all the aero majors have the remove before flight tags on their backpacks. You know, no hate on the
majors are carrying around our little lab kits.
Yep. That little white box. I've seen a lot of those. But anyway, so, you know, you walk around the campus and you get this homey feeling. Yeah. And I can't really explain that.
You can't.
You know, you walk into any classroom and, like I was saying, like, everybody's just happy to be there. Right. And that's one of the biggest things that Purdue encourages is that team environment. Right. From day one, your first year engineering classes, everybody's going to always be working in a team. You actually cycle through 3 different teams. Right. Throughout Ideas to Innovation. You know, you cycle through these different teams, meet different people from different intended majors at the time because you're all FYE. You know, everybody's just so grateful for the experience to go here. When I was looking at schools, Purdue was never really on my radar until I decided what I wanted to do. And I looked up, you know, top 10 aerospace schools, top 10 engineering schools, and I went on, and I was like, oh, Purdue. And I looked at the tuition, and I was like, wow, you know, that's cheaper than every other school on that list.
Especially for us out-of-state students.
Right, and I'm from New York, so I don't, you know, have the benefit of paying in-state tuition for the education, but even then, it's still relatively affordable compared to these other top programs. So I was just always kind of like in awe about, you know, how this exists and how there's not more students that go here. You know, not to amp up everything more than it already is, but, you know, just everybody's happy to go here. Right. Everybody loves the schools, passionate about what they do. You see it through the student sections at the sports games. You see it through team environments and your classes. So really, really good stuff.
Yeah. And so it seems like you kind of hit on our last question, so we won't make you repeat that. But one other thing we do want to talk about is just job placement in civil engineering or construction engineering. Yeah. Because I know that's another kind of hallmark of the degree itself.
So the hallmark of the degree, you know, from day one, like I said, throughout the T2M process, you know, they'll get you placed in that internship, get you placed in that first year experience. And a lot of these companies, you know, they're not accepting you because you're a construction engineering student. They're accepting you because you're a Purdue construction engineering student. Right. Right. I walked in, and on my first day with Walsh, I walked into the regional business director's office, and I was talking to him, introduced myself, and he said to me, he's like, hey, you know, where'd you go to school? I was like, Purdue. He's like, oh, Purdue. And he made a face when he said it. And he's like, that's a blue chip school, And I've heard that phrase by, you know, a bunch of different people. You know, you could walk anywhere in the world and somebody will see you wearing a Purdue jersey, Purdue shirt, you know, boiler up, hammer down, right? Everybody knows the culture. So kind of going back to that internship experience, because I went on a tangent. But, you know, it gets you placed in that internship. And then once you have that first internship on your resume, that's going to kind of kickstart you into the rest of your career. Because even if you get placed with a smaller company, you've had work experience. And
you can talk about it. And recruiters want you to talk about it.
Right. So that's why, you know, sometimes a lot of students, I was fortunate enough to get placed from the get-go in a really, really big company, you know, with a really, really big name such as Walsh. So that kind of makes it a little easier. But I have a lot of friends that, you know, started with like a small regional contractor, small business, maybe home construction, and then, you know, moved on and are now working for like a top 10 general contractor in the nation. So having that industry experience as soon as your freshman year summer is really, really beneficial, because now by the time you graduate, you'll have had 3 summers worth of industry experience, right? Which is more than, a lot of engineers have the opportunity to do. So that kind of kickstarts you into your career. And what a lot of these companies like to see is that you're coming back, right? So, loyalty. So last summer I worked with Skanska. Next summer I'll work with Skanska. And hopefully, if I have the opportunity, they'll give me a full-time offer, because that'll be now my 3rd time returning back to them.
Yeah.
So they like to see that consistent energy and that consistent, desire to work for the company.
Right.
So starting early definitely helps. For other engineering majors, don't be discouraged if you can't start early. Sometimes I know a lot of students like to supplement it with like research experience, working with all the research opportunities we have on campus. But, fill up your resume. However you do it, just get stuff on there. Get stuff to talk about.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Matt, for all of your insights and all of your experience. I mean, it's been great to learn more about C&E, and I hope this is very impactful to those looking at construction engineering and figuring out where their placement is. But
that concludes this week's episode. As always, please reach out to the Office of Future Engineers if you have any other questions.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you, guys.